Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Playing from the Tips. We're here at beautiful Harbor Hills Country Club, and tonight my guest is an old guest that we're bringing back, Joe Rudity. And Joe, in addition to being the representative and the head of Brody Golf, excuse me, I got birdies on my mind. Joe is also kind of an historian, and how unique to have the traditional U.S. Open just finished up this week, Joe. And it was at Oakmont, which is an old stomping ground of mine, and I know you've got a lot of information there, but what did you think about the tournament in general and all the excitement with the rules?
Well, I really thought a lot about it, and as I think everybody else has. I find it very hard to believe that if the officials were looking at the same slow motion film of the penalty that was assessed to Dustin Johnson, I really couldn't see anything that the young man did. I particularly felt sorry for him, Bob, because you know he kind of got beat out of another U.S. Open when you know, the people were standing in the sand trap and everything, and you know, when he went in, he thought it was a waste bunker, and he grounded his club and got penalized 2 shots. So I really felt sorry for him. But you know, something that was so remarkable about Dustin Johnson is how the next 2 holes he just wasn't quite himself, but he pulled himself together, and by gosh, he finished in great style. I take my hat off to that young man.
Well, you have to do that, and you know what? It's interesting. You talked about Dustin Johnson. By the way, Dustin Johnson was my pick when we had our pick 2 weeks ago. Just reminding the audience out there. But the thing I wanted to say about Dustin Johnson is he handled the situation so well, because I think the USGA is really going to they're going to get a lot of bad emails and bad tweets and everything else, because there's got to be a better way to handle it than to go up to somebody on the 5th hole and say, by the way, we may or may not assess you a penalty stroke. It seems to me his word's got to be good. If he says, I didn't have anything to do with that ball moving, they can either agree or disagree, but you got to penalize them up front and say, well, you did, here's your penalty, or okay, we take you at your face value and we don't do anything about it. But this thing where he's got people chasing him and nobody knows how far they're behind and how far they're ahead, I just think that that got a little bit out of hand.
Bob, I want to ask you something.
Yes, sir.
Let's say we're at a baseball game. Guy slides into home plate. The umpire's there. Safe. No, out. Hey, I'll let you know when the game's over. How would you like that happen?
Let me think about it. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's just, but that's exactly how it was. I mean, there's an honor to it, and I know they had a couple other players. In fact, Lowry had it, and I can't remember the...
Lowry had it and called the penalty on himself?
Called the penalty on himself, but there was another gentleman, but the fact is, he actually called it on himself, but they didn't assess him anything. But the idea is, you ask the player, did you in fact make that ball move? And if the player says no, you either have to take him at being honorable, or say, well, he didn't really see the situation the way we did, and say, well, you're going to have to be assessed a penalty, because the only way we can determine that ball to move is that was something that you did, even if it was or wasn't right. But the absolute worst thing you can do is say, we'll think about it later on and see how things are going. I think the USGA came out with a lot of egg on their face, and I felt bad.
Well, I've watched some additional footage of that. I've listened to the USGA and everything else. And you know something, Bob? I have not found not one person other than the USGA that agrees with the USGA.
That's what they did.
Now, unless they have a magnifying glass that looked at a picture different than the rest of us, I mean, we've seen that in every angle and every slow motion frame that you can look at. And incidentally, I believe that ball, if he had caused it to move, would have rocked back towards him rather than forward, wouldn't it?
That's another thing that nobody seemed to bring that up. I just couldn't understand. First of all, he did not grind his club behind it. I know that doesn't always necessarily mean it could be causing it, could not be. But there was no logical explanation for how you could assume that he made the ball move. Because when I saw that, I went, that sure wasn't him. you know.
I completely agree. You know, we got a neat show tonight. We got a lot of things we can talk about later on about the U.S. Open because, as you recall, in 1973 they kept referring back to it, and Johnny Miller shot 63 on the last day, and you know, I was there with two of my players who were playing my over the hosel irons that I designed back then, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on, and because that desert type looking golf course that we have there now with all them 15,000 trees gone.
Yeah.
I didn't even recognize
That's
it.
what I mean. Anybody that's used to seeing the traditional old, and that club has hosted plenty of U.S. Opens, a few PGAs, and frankly, I'd left Pennsylvania a while ago, but I sure didn't recognize the course when they were showing it on TV. I thought, wait a minute, this looks like something out of the British Open. I said, I can't. Where's all the trees? Because that used to be majestic trees all over the place, but I know they lost a few, and I guess they decided to remove them all rather than replant and put some new ones in.
And I'll tell you something else, folks, that you don't know. Bob caddied in that Open. Who'd you caddy for?
Forrest Fessler.
Forrest Fessler.
Aye.
Do you remember what one of the things that Forrest Fessler was famous for?
All I know is he went to Wake Forest.
That he did. But do you recall when the Citrus Open, which is now the Bay Hill Classic, which Palmer has had commandeered away from Reopen Our Country Club,
Yeah.
Forrest Fessler, you're not allowed to wear Bermuda shorts or anything like. You have to wear long trousers to play in a PGA event. He, on I forget what hole it was, but I seen him do it. He went into one of the potty stations, changed to a pair of Bermuda shorts, and walked out and teed it up on the next ball. And of course, he got fined for it and everything else, but
He didn't pull that off at Oakmont.
no. Well, he didn't pull it off there either, but he tried. So, but those are some little tidbits. You know, before we go any further, I just got to kind of say something because I really believe this wholeheartedly about this beautiful golf course here. One thing I want to make sure that everybody understands. Yes, we're having a little trouble with our greens. So is the Villages. So is all the other golf courses around here. So it isn't something that's just new to Harbor Hills. But we, Michael Rich has stepped forward. We're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on our greens to make them back to be the finest greens in the area. But you can't do it overnight because you don't plant corn and they'll go out 2 or 3 days later and expect to have some corn to eat. It's the same way with greens. They need some growing time. So all of the golf courses in this area have had a problem with that, and we're all working on it. And I just want everybody to know that. Another thing that I'd like to point out is about how Harbor Hills is dedicated to building the finest homes in the area. And I'm going to show you something right here. This award from the Home Builders Association Parade of Homes. Again this year, it is awarded 2016 Dream Community, Harbor Hills. We're proud of that.
It should be.
And then I'm going to show you something here in this little blue box that we are very proud of at Brody Golf. And the reason we're proud of it is because it does the same thing that Harbor Hills does. This is the 4th year in a row that we have been picked the best club golf shop in the country, or excuse me, in the no, boy, I wish it was the
I was
country.
going to say, that's
in
brilliant.
the Lady Lake area. So 2013, 14, 15, and this is our award for 2016. The best golf club shop in the Lady Lake area. So those are a couple things I just wanted to get out of the way and let people know that at Harbor Hills, that's what we're striving to be. We're not striving to be sell the most golf clubs. We're not striving to sell the most houses. No, we don't build 200, 250 homes a month. But by golly, what we build are the best. And the same way with our golf clubs. And one other point I'd make about Brody Golf, that when we fit you for a set of clubs, a driver, whatever the case may be, and we're going to show you some of our new models here shortly, that they are not, those specifications are not sent away to a company and ask them to build them and hope they build them to our specification. No, they're built right here at Harbor Hills.
So,
I got that off my chest.
I like that, but one of the, I wanted to go back just briefly because playing golf in the last 4 or 6 months down here, a lot of the clubs have gone through issues with greens. And frankly, what you had mentioned, Joe, is really you've got to give them time. You want to short circuit getting greens to come back the way that they want to come back. You go out and start playing on them too soon, and don't give them a chance to grow and mature. So I think that your point's very well taken. And like I said, another thing you said, all the courses, and I played a lot of different courses in the Central Florida and Lady Lake area, and yeah, a lot of the greens, a lot of them having the same problems, and it's just something you have to excuse my French, but weather the storm on it. You just have to basically put up with it, deal with it. You know that for that little time period that they're not going to be rolling as smoothly as you like them to, but in another month, if you just lay off and let them grow, everything's going to be working back just as smooth as you can use them.
Bob, that's very eloquently put, and I can't add anything to it.
Go ahead.
Because that's one thing I want us to do on this show. Hey, let's tell it as it is.
That's right.
We don't have to make up things because, gosh darn it, this is a great place. This is a whole area, the Lady Lake area. You can't find a better place to live. Come on, people. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll tell you what. Having that in mind, we've got 3 more sections of this show to go over, but that covers us for the first 15 minutes. So we will be back with Joe Rudity from Brody Golf. We'll be looking at a lot of the technology. We'll be looking, and we'll be also talking some other golf tips with Joe, because Joe is an expert in a lot of aspects of golf besides the technology, and we're going to pick his brain. We'll be back right after this. All right, we're back with another segment of Playing from the Tips here at Harbor Hills Country Club. And I'm here with Joe Rudity from Brody Golf, and I want to tell you up front, Joe has a couple clubs he's going to show you. I'm getting older, and I played golf for like 45, 50 years, and I'm losing a little bit of distance. And I just swung these, and they're called Joe Reds, after our man here. I'll tell you what, I swung the clubs. I'm in love with them already. And if you can get me 15, 20 yards back that I lost or more, I would love it. This technology is specifically, it helps out somebody like me I'm doing everything I can to stay fit, to stay limber, to stay loose, and to stay strong. But it's just, it's working against me, and I'm going to need to go with this type of technology. These clubs, once you put them in your hands, you don't ever want to put them down. And I'm going to have Joe explain exactly what he's got here. Joe, take us through what you got here.
Well, first of all, we have been working on this, Bob, gosh, it takes so long to get approvals and so long to get just the drawings done, so that you can make sure your clubs are legal, make certain that they're going to work as you want them to do. So we've been working on this, I guess, about a year and a half. And as I'm getting up in years, I don't really have to do this. I'm doing this because I got tired of every morning getting up on that retirement gig that I was on and saying, oh, let's see now, what am I going to do today? Oh yeah, thank God I should have been up at 4 o'clock this morning to go fishing with the guys. I don't even like to fish.
So crossword puzzle. I don't even like crossword puzzle.
That's right. So I finally told my wife, I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't even like to fish, particularly getting up at 4:30 in the morning. The other things too, I own some horses, going out to the ranch and riding horses. Well, yeah, that's great, but boy, if you have to get up and say, oh, I'm going to do it every day at this time, it becomes job then.
Sure.
And I really am
But
Pretty-
you got a passion. It looks to me, and well, I know it. Besides, it looks to me, I know you have a significant passion for the game of golf, and you don't outgrow that, or you don't outage that.
Love
and,
it,
And,
love it.
and like I said, you're doing everything you can to make golf play younger. If seriously, this is the fountain of youth. Some of these clubs, and this isn't snake oil. I beseech you to come in and give these demos a swing. You won't believe it.
You know something, Bob, too, that people have to understand. I don't have to do this. And if I haven't made my money in the golf business by now, it's at my age, it's a little too late to start, isn't it? You know what drives me? I wanted to design a new line of golf clubs to see, first of all, if I could do it. But the reason I wanted to do it is because if I make, let's just pull a figure out of here. Let's say we got a $500 driver and I make $150 off of that. You know what I get my biggest kick out of? I made you a $500 driver and I made $150? No. I made you a better golfer, and I helped your golf game.
That's what we're talking about.
And I would rather that you come in. See, one thing that we do, there's nobody else in the area that does this. When we build you, I don't care whether it's a driver, a hybrid, or a whole set of golf clubs. We want you to play them for 6 weeks, and at the end of 6 weeks, we want you to call, make an appointment, bring your whole set of clubs back, your driver or whatever, and we're going to check the wear patterns on them. If they need any adjustments or anything to improve, one of the clubs is maybe off a little bit, we're going to do that free of charge. It doesn't cost you any money, because what makes me tick? I want you to play better golf with my clubs. Now let's talk about these clubs.
I love it.
Which one you want to start with first?
Well, I'll tell you what. Just because I grabbed it second, but I just fell in love with it. I want to see that hybrid. Bring that hybrid out.
I want to see the hybrid. Okay.
This is what everybody's looking for. Everybody that has trouble hitting that 3 and 4 iron, and you want something that plays just like it, but has the feel of a wood. This, I died when I picked it up. This feels like something that's been in my hands for 55 years. I love
Well,
it.
you know, this is the little driver here, or the little hybrid, I should say. But you know, it really is a little driver. Let me explain to you, folks. You know, most of the hybrids out on the market right now, they have a flat face, just like an iron. Well, I decided to do something different with my hybrids. On your drivers and your fairway woods, you have what they call a bulge and a roll. Well, what is a bulge and a roll? Well, the roll means that from the heel to the toe, there's a little circumference there. It's a little roll to it.
Yeah.
And the bulge, the same way, only going this way. Now, you might say, well, what in the world is that? Well, I'll tell you what in the world that is. You hit that ball out here towards the toe, and with the bulge and roll, the little angles there, you're still hitting on a flat face.
Yeah.
You hit it back here, you're still hitting on a flat face. So therefore, it expands the sweet spot.
Yeah, I was going to say bigger sweet spot
And,
right
and,
off the
and,
top.
and it makes it just much easier to hit, and you can hit it further. If you'll please notice too, the nice pretty red shaft, this is our shaft too that we developed. No, it's not a true temper shaft. No, it will not perform with the hazard shafts and everything, but it doesn't cost $300 either. Now, I want to point out something else here. See that little arrow right there? That's a piece of tape. Every club that we make, we spine line the shaft. Spine line the shaft? What in the world
I
is
was
that?
going to say, I'm going to ask if somebody else is thinking it. I'm going to ask that.
Okay, Greg, just especially for you, because he's asked this question before also. When they build a graphite shaft, they have a template, and they bend the shaft around it, and then they melt the seam or the spine of the shaft together. Then they put the decals on it, and then they, first of all, they put the color coat on it, then they put the decals on, then they put a clear coat on, goes through the dryers, comes out the other end, and then you have your shaft. Now, the spine of the shaft, or the joint of the shaft, must always face your target. Some people say you can put it on the back too, but I don't happen to agree with them. Must always face your target. If you do that, then you will not have an inconsistent shaft. Now, Bob, you've done this, Greg's done it, so does Jim and Bill out there and everybody else, including me. You go out and you start playing. You got a really nice swing you put on the ball the first hole. Nice little baby draw down the fairway. You step up, second hole the same thing, third hole the same thing, the fourth hole put the same swing on it, you hit it out in right field. What happened? Well, the first thing you start doing is, well, did I do this? Did I have my elbows
What did I
out?
do wrong?
It wasn't
did something
anything that you
different.
did. You put the same swing on it. The shaft didn't work. It didn't perform. So that's why we line the shafts. Now, you think we ought to show up the driver?
You won't believe that this driver is like a car. In fact, doesn't he sound like an auto mechanic talking about you bring it in and they're going to do some tests and make sure that everybody's happy with what their purchase is. This is about the nicest looking club you've ever seen.
Well, let's talk about this driver here. This particular driver is a driver, and of course you know for years we have built the Bang drivers here at Harbor Hills. They own all the long drive records in the world, not only for men, but for ladies, juniors, and seniors. And why are they such a great club? Well, the reason they're such a great club is because they're all titanium. They're not like the EOM companies where they have a stainless steel head and they weld a titanium face
Sticks
on it.
them on the
Now you got a titanium driver. No, you don't. You got a titanium face driver. So what we have done is we have redesigned our head. Isn't that a pretty head?
That's gorgeous.
Look
Look
at
at
that.
that. It looks like
I mean, this fella will actually perform. And we got something down on the bottom of our club right here, and it's rather small, so maybe you can't pick it up on the cameras there, Greg. It says this head is 100% beta titanium, not 6-4
Yeah,
titanium,
yeah.
beta titanium. This face is a little thinner than most, but it's completely legal. This head in our tests so far with golfers hitting their Bangs, their Cobras, their TaylorMades, all of them out on the golf courses and playing in rounds, this club is hitting anywhere from 5 to 7 yards more than even the Bang driver. We had Kevin who played with it the other day, and I had him hitting his Cobra driver and then hitting this driver on number 6 of par 5. He hit his Cobra driver and hit it well, and then hit this driver 5 yards past his Cobra driver. Now, I'm not exactly, these are facts, folks. Now, in addition to this, we have, as we had spoke the last time I was here, about this Hazard shaft from True Temper. Probably the greatest shaft that I have ever seen, ever played, ever hit, etc. This shaft is handmade. They cost $300. They only make 50 of them a day. In 3 months' time, this shaft has become the #1 shaft on the PGA Tour. It also comes in a yellow shaft called the Yellow Hazard, and it has a more boring trajectory, where this has your nice flowing trajectory. And the end of this month, which isn't far away, we are going to have also a red shaft Hazard that has been specifically designed for your slower swingers, your seniors, and that type of thing, but it has all of the qualities and capabilities of this shaft here. So that's what we're really proud of. That's our driver.
That's and I want to say 35 yards. That ain't hay, as they say. I'll tell you what. If I can go out and I can hit a ball with the driver, and I got a decent driver. It's it's a little oversized, and if I swing it and hit it well, now my best drive will be 240 yards because I never was a big hitter. If you tell me I can hit the ball 275 yards, I'm going to say, where do I sign up? And we're coming to the end of our second segment, but I really want Joe to elaborate not only on the technology, but what are a lot of the other benefits that some of the seniors are going to get. And frankly, with all of these golf club. I see all the people in the villages heading to all these expos and stuff. They got to come and try these clubs. You get your hands on these clubs, you're not going to want to touch another club. So I'm going to leave it at that. But I'll tell you what, we're going to be back to talk more about. We got sandwiches, we got irons, a lot more to talk about with Joe and Brody Golf. We'll be back with the next segment of Playing from the Tips right after this. We're back, Playing from the Tips, with our next segment, and I'm here with Joe Rudity from Brody Golf, and we were just talking off camera, and folks, these clubs are here at Harbor Hills Country Club. Come swing them. These are demo clubs that you can actually go out and hit balls with, and you can see not only how great they feel and what the technology does for you. You can you not only see, but you'll experience for yourself the gains and distances you'll get. And it's something you got to come try, so you got to experience it. And Joe, one of the things we were also talking about off camera, and I'd like you to elaborate on this, is the fact that this technology, and Joe has been calling, as you can tell, Joe's been in the golf club business for quite a while, and he knows what he's talking about. But this isn't, these aren't made in China. These are Taiwanese, and explain the difference.
Well, I'd be glad to, Bob, and one other thing before we get to that, I'd
Sure.
like to elaborate on. When you come in here to test one of these drivers, we have a launch monitor that we take you out to the driving range with, and we encourage you to bring your driver and hit our driver. And this launch monitor will tell us everything we need to know about your driver and our driver. And if we can't help you, we're going to show you.
Well, that's great technology, and the fact of the matter is, there's a challenge here. You can't accept that challenge. It doesn't cost you anything. Bring the club that you've been using, find out how it stacks up or doesn't stack up with some of the new technology and the new clubs and the Joe Reds here, and I think you'll be very, very impressed.
Now let's talk about foundries, and let's talk about the way most of the EOM companies do business now. Of course, I don't know of any clubs that aren't made in China except ours. I'm sure there's a few, but I don't know of them. And you know, they've even went so far that a lot of their stock clubs are now not only made in China, but they're assembled in China. So I have all of my golf equipment made in Taiwan. Why Taiwan? Well, first of all, I've done business with this foundry for over 20 years. And they know what standards I expect, and they deliver them. So that's one of the big things that you get when you use Joe Red equipment made by Brody Golf Manufacturing Company, is that you know you're getting what you're buying. And this folks is so important. Everything that we've discussed a little earlier, from spine lining and grip sizing, and you know, before you when you sign up to come to us for a fitting, before you ever get to go to the driving range, you're going to spend at least 15 minutes in our club shop answering questions, getting measured, checking your driver to see if the shaft is installed properly on it. If it says it's a regular shaft, we put it on our frequency machine, which is laser operated. So it's very accurate. And we find out, is this really a regular shaft, or is it a stiff shaft or a senior flex? And you know what we find out with one of the leading companies, that practically all of their shafts that say they're regular are really not, they're seniors. And all their seniors are little stiffer ladies. So these are, yeah, you may get a little more distance by doing it that way, but you sure give up a heck of a lot of accuracy.
Yeah.
And but anyway, that's our point, Bob. Now I think we probably ought to get into our new wedge, hadn't we?
You know what? I saw this thing. If you can't get out, and we talked about this, if you can't get out of a sand trap with this sand wedge, then maybe golf isn't your sport. I'm serious. I've never seen a greater looking sand wedge in my life. This looks like
either that or get a shovel.
Get a shovel. That's exactly right. Or get a shovel. Or
All right,
get
well,
the
this-
foot wedge out, but yeah.
This is the club here.
Look
Now,
at this.
Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this golf club and where the idea came from, because this is not completely my idea. There, back in the late 70s, there was a sand wedge called the console wedge.
Remember the console.
The console wedge had a concave sole on it, and we had the pleasure, my company that I own down in the Orlando area, we built all of those clubs for Console Golf Company. Built over 12,000 of them. So what I did, I have been watching and thinking, and I thought, doggone it, that was a great idea. You could get out of the sand with that.
Yeah.
Plus, it was a great club from 20, 30 yards on in, and,
Right.
and hitting the ball over traps and stopping the ball and things of that nature. So I borrowed a little bit of their technology and designed a new sand wedge, and we call it Mr. Sandman.
Mr. Sandman.
Okay.
How about it?
Now, you can see that the sole is a little concave. Not as much as the old console, but it's still concave. However, I filled the back in where theirs was hollow in this area, which gives you a more solid golf club. Now, when I set this down on this piece of paper here, you'll see how the leading edge is off the ground. You cannot bury this sand wedge in the sand trap. What you have to do is pick it up and
Get
try
down,
and hit
yeah.
down on the ball, and it will pop that club or ball out onto the green. And all you do to control your distance is how close you are to the ball, move it back a little bit further for control of distance. And this thing is absolutely great when you have to flip a ball over a trap, or you're 20 yards out on the green and you want to throw it back to the pin and stop it. So this is our Sandman. Now, a lot of people say, well, but that thing costs a pretty dime. Well, you know what, a lot of the wedges out there that are just basically ordinary wedges, you know, they haven't changed sand wedges much since Gene Sarazen invented it. Well, these sell for $119. So you're not robbing the bank or
No,
anything
that's
else.
right.
To add a portion to your golf game, that is very, very, very important.
It's vital. It's
Yeah,
vital to
absolutely.
have the sand wedge you need. It can play the short shots too. You gotta have it.
And you're going to see it in a later program that we have a putter. It's called the Joe Red Perfect Roll putter. And I'm not going to let out a lot of things out on the table tonight, but we are going to package the sand wedge and this putter together. And the thing with the Perfect Roll putter, most putters, when you strike the ball will skid anywhere from 24 to 30 inches. Then it starts its roll.
Right.
The Perfect Roll putter, as soon as you strike the ball with the putter, it rolls
It's
immediately.
rolling. Yeah.
So that's going to be some information coming later. But I encourage you people to come over. We've got a practice sand trap over here. We'll take you right out and let you hit them. And
Well, not only that, but not only is it a fantastic sand club, but a lot of us, you know, you have to play a ball over it. You have a little tight, you got to get it up and you don't have much green to work with. Everybody just basically conceives, oh, well, if I get it on the green somewhere, two putt and I'll get out of Dodge. This, if you hit it right, this is going to get you up. It's going to grab, and you can get up and down from really difficult situations. When you swing this, you got to come out and you got to swing it. You got to swing it in the traps. You got to swing it hitting over traps, and you'll be able to see the marked difference between any of the other wedges that are out there. Unbelievable.
absolutely. Now, I know we're getting a little pressed for time here and everything, but remember I said I wanted to design a whole set of golf equipment, see if
Sure.
I could do it again.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've hit a home run with our new iron. This is our new iron. Now, what is different about this iron than most irons out on the market? Well, the thing that's different about this iron is the 5-iron up through the gap wedge. You see this top line here, this area? Well, there is a 30-second separation between the face of the club and the back of the club. What are you talking about, Joe? There's a space in there. And we put that space in there, and I asked Bob earlier in the program, Bob tapped that face. He said,
Yeah.
well, it's hollow. I can hear it, feel it. What it does is it lets this face flex. And when it rebounds, you get more distance with this club, 5 to 7 yards more, and these lofts are not trumped up. In other words, this doesn't have a 6-iron loft, like a lot of the boys out there are telling you, oh, we got 6-irons, you can hit them further than any 6-iron on the market. Well, heck yes, because it's got the loft of a 5-iron. That's not the case here. This is a true 7-iron. And I'll put it up against I'll put our 6-iron up against any of the 6-irons that are trumped up. So this is something that we've done. Now, I don't have them with me, but we've also even carried this further. You know, believe it or not, Bob, there are people out there that can't hit hybrids, don't like hybrids. I see them. They come in. No, I don't want one of them hybrids. Joe, you got any
They'd
3-iron?
rather hit irons. Why
Yes.
about that?
Yeah.
That's
Would
something
rather-
you don't hear that often, but I'm sure they're out there.
Well, I'll tell you what I've done with this set. With the 3 and the 4-iron, they have a much wider sole, even about that thick. And they are completely hollow. The 3-iron that I carry in my bag, I can hit it almost as far as my 3 would. But I know where it's going. It's easier to hit. It gets the ball up in the air. You get nice roll with it. So for the guys that have trouble with hybrids, well, we thought, why not let's see if we can solve that problem, while we're doing all of this. So let's just recap this now. What have we done here at Brody Golf with our Joe Red line of equipment? You'll see that this says Joe Red Custom Designs, but over here in real small print, I put it in there. Speed face. What is a speed face? Well, you get more speed off of the face because of the flex.
Because of the flex in it.
Yes. So now, what have we done? Well, we have a driver that I feel is second to none. We have irons that I know these are home runs because they made up the heads for us, sent them to me, and I've been playing with them for about a month, and I've let guys go out and play with them, and they'll come in. Joe, make me a set of these. I can't make them yet. But they are at the foundry. They're being cast now, and we're going to have all of this in about two months. If you want to come by, play some of them, hit them, and everything else, you can pre-order because I'll assure you when these get here, they're going to go out pretty fast.
I'll tell you what, we got one more segment. We're running out of time here, but even I'm technologically challenged. The technology makes all the sense in the world to me. So we're going to delve into a little more of that, and Joe's got a lot more to talk about with these clubs. But we'll be back with the 4th segment of Playing from the Tips right after this. We're back with our 4th and final segment of Playing from the Tips here at beautiful Harbor Hills Country Club. And our guest is Joe Rudity from Brody Golf. And as I said before we closed the last section, I am technologically challenged. I sat down and Joe explained this technology. It's he didn't give me all this mumbo jumbo about degrees and percentages. He just explained how the manufacturing, that makes all the sense in the world to me. You leave that little hollow spot there, it gives the face of the club a little more flex, and phew, that ball shoots off the face. That tells me everything I need to know because I can figure that out. And Joe, just you were talking about 3 and 4 irons. And your hybrid. You explain a little bit. You said you had somebody that came in and said they couldn't hit hybrids. I love this.
Yeah, this gentleman, he's a customer of ours, and we've made several clubs for him. And he came in and he said, Joe, just real serious, you got a 3 and a 4 iron? Yeah, I do, Bill. I want them. I said, well, have you tried hybrids? Don't talk to me about hybrids. I can't hit hybrids. I don't want hybrids. I want a 3 and a 4 iron. So I showed him our demo models of our 3 and 4 iron that we just spoke about, that's hollow and everything else.
Gorgeous.
And he said, well, can I go hit these? I said, you certainly can. So he goes out to the driving range, and he's out there about 15, 20 minutes, I don't know, and back he comes. I want one of these. Which one you want? I want both of them. Okay, Bill, got a little problem though. And he said, well, what's the problem? I said, these are brand new, and they're in production right now, but by the time we get them, it's going to be about 2.5 months. I said, you can't just snap your fingers, but I said, we'll have plenty of them when they come in.
Sure.
So he's saying, well, I don't know whether I can wait that long. And I said, well, I'll make
He's
a
a
deal
golfer.
with you. I'll make a deal with you.
He can't wait that long.
I've got the demos here, so anytime they're not in use and everything, come on in and get them and go play with them. You'd let me do that? I said, Bill, only because it's you. So he's out playing with them down, comes in.
Here's the payoff. I want to hear this.
he comes in every day and you know, well, why wouldn't you sell me these? Well, because then we won't have any, Bill. But this is just an example that while we were going to all this work and spending over a year's worth of my life and Ed Rickard, our club maker's life, in doing what we've done, why not try to cover all the bases from a driver all the way down to a putter and even a 3 and 4 iron? So that's what we've done. So I want people to know that if they will just come by and see these clubs.
The Joe Reds are here. You can swing them.
Oh yeah, it isn't that we don't have them here. It's just that we don't have any we can sell.
Yeah, but let's face it. If I found something I just fell in love with, and somebody said it's going to take a month, 6 weeks, I'll be glad to wait. I really will. I'll make sure I get whatever I want.
Well, I think that too, Bob, that the people, if they are aware of this and understand this, they can come in and pre-order these clubs, and we'll go ahead and fit them, and they can put a deposit on them, and when they come in, they will make certain that they have them. But that's what we're doing right now, and that's why we can't sell any of our demo models, is because then we don't have anything for people to test. So it's
that's as honest as it gets. Like I said, and we were talking off camera. The one thing you don't want to do is come off sounding like we're not selling snake oil. We're selling the cutting edge technology, and it's available to you, and it's available to you now to try out. So you come and you've got the clubs here, swing them and see if you don't think that they're the best things that you've put your hands around in golf for a long time. Because I absolutely fell in love with them. And you might say, well, you're biased. I'm not biased. In fact, I'm hypercritical. I was going to say, what about this? What about that? Couldn't do it. They all felt fantastic to me. And I can't wait to go out and give them a shot.
Do you recall that the last time I was on here that the president of the Chamber of Commerce was here, and one of the breaks he got up and walked up and says, Joe, I want one of those shafts. I looked him straight in the eye, and I said, well, you can't have one until you come in and get fitted for it.
Yeah.
And it kind of took him back. He thought he could just walk.
He can put it in his basement, go put it in his own driver head. That's not the way it works.
Well, the other thing how it works is the hazard shafts. There's about a combination of almost 20 different shafts. So when we do something for somebody, we want to make sure that you're getting the right shaft. For example, that golf club there, that probably is not the right shaft for you. It's probably close.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure, because that's why we take you out to the driving range and put you on the launch monitor and make certain. And no, you're not hitting balls into a net or a screen and getting that verbiage about how great it is.
I'm sorry, hitting into the screen. Okay, that one went 5. I know that was straight for 3 yards. And that's all I know about that shot.
That's right. But buddy, when you're standing on the driving range, we see and you see exactly what that ball's doing.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do and everything. But
Well, I'll tell you what, that we've made our play. You got to come in and swing the Joe Red clubs. Come in and swing the Joe Red clubs. Joe Rudity from Prody Golf has just explained to you what the advantages are. You got to come see it for yourself. And we'll make it, we'll close it on that, but we still have a lot more to talk about. I'd like to segue back into the US Open because, like I said, it's got such a rich tradition and a rich history. And Oakmont in particular, and like I said, we're talking about all the trees being gone, but let's talk about what's a fair test of golf and what's an unfair test of golf. Because I almost I felt when 2006 or 7 when Oakmont had it, they kind of made it didn't reward good shots. And I'm not big on golf courses that don't reward good shots. You land the ball 30 feet past the pin and it backs off and goes down the hill 50 yards, I think. I don't know if that's fair. I guess they'd say, well, if you're that good, you can hit it in that 2-yard area where you could make it bite. But what is your take on that?
Well, Bob, I kind of agree and kind of disagree with you. Okay, and here's where I kind of disagree with you. Those guys are so darn good.
Yeah.
But that is the part that I kind of disagree with you. I said I didn't completely disagree. I kind of disagree with you. Why make it so difficult where it's impossible so that you cannot really, the spectator, see how good these guys are?
Yeah. Well, they did it. That's how they put it out there. There's no question.
That's right. And my memory serves me right. +5 won that tournament.
Yeah, in 2007.
Yeah.
Cabrera, 2000.
Yeah. And there's some other things. I don't know whether we mentioned this before or not, but in '73 when I was there, you see on Oakmont the 9th green, it goes up a little ridge, and then that's the practice green behind it.
Behind it, that's right.
Which is still in play. Charlie Sifford hit his second shot, I believe it was, up on the practice green. And 9 shots later, he finally got the ball in the hole. So that gives you some idea about.
And he's probably starting out punting for an eagle. It didn't work that way.
That's
right. It didn't work that way. Now that's, I see they changed that. Now that hole's a par 4. I guess they tailored it, moved the tee. I probably up a little bit, and but I was just amazed because it's a course, and like I said, I've had the chance to caddy on the course and play it a few times. It just looked so unfamiliar to me because all of the trees being gone. It really it's still a phenomenal test of golf, and still one of the best shots I think I've ever seen was that last shot Johnson hit on the 18th hole. I played the 18th hole. On my best day, I have to hit the heck out of a drive and hit the heck out of a wood to get on the green. Here's a guy that took a driver and a 6-iron and put it past the pin by 2 feet so he could make a birdie. There's a little bit of a difference.
Do you know, Bob, when you're down, say, in number 9 fairway and looking up at the clubhouse there, and you know those 2 double windows that open up there?
Big bays up there, yeah.
Okay. Well, this was kind of funny on the last, because Bob Murphy, when Johnny made that big run, was in contention, and he was already in, and he was setting up there with it's drizzle raining, as you remember, and he's got those 2 windows open, and he's sitting up there like this, watching Johnny Miller out there on the golf course, because you can see forever up there.
Yeah. No, you really can't. You really can't.
And he's sitting there just like this with that old slouched hat on, and of course, I've never been a big guy to carry cameras around with me or anything, but I wish I had where I could have just got that picture and say, here's the guy that has a concern.
And one of the things also I want to mention, and like I said, I'm sure since you've walked through the second hole there, that green slopes so severely from the back to the front. It's amazing how those guys played. That many people were in contention at par or under par. Just is amazing to me because it is so difficult. Those greens are so difficult to putt, and these guys have such skill that they can get the 60-footer and they get it a foot away. It's incredible. If you played those, you'd get it within 10 feet and go, that's not bad. For them to get it within a foot from 60 feet over the undulations and turns in that green, just amazing to me. And they were fast. I didn't check what the stimp meter was. Probably 12.
Yeah, it was around 12 because of the rain.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But it's amazing. People, Harbor Hills greens, when we used to have them in shape and everything here, and mow them down pretty short.
How fast did you
go? I would say they were maybe at the best 10.
Okay.
Hey, and listen, that's fast.
That's fast. Down here, that's fast. Let me tell you.
Now, take bent grass greens and add 4 more degrees, 14 degrees, 14 stemp readings.
Yeah.
That's like this table.
But you know what, and Joe, obviously being the golfer that he is, and he knows golf, one thing I can tell you, if you play on fast greens like this, if you have a good putting stroke, you're rewarded.
Oh,
'Cause
absolutely.
You hit it, but if you have a flaw in your putting stroke, nothing will expose it faster than fast greens.
And if
Ask
you-
Charlie Sifford.
Ask Mr. Duffner too.
That's exactly right.
But it's amazing the quality of the player out there now, and like Nicholas had 2 comments that have taken away from this U.S. Open. The first one was they asked him how he when he got on TV and everything. He said, "Well, Jack," he said, "Wait a minute, what happened to all the trees when I pulled the driveway? I thought it was the wrong golf course."
Yeah.
And the other thing was that how he was such a master at putting. People don't realize what a great putter Jack Nicklaus was.
Unbelievable.
I mean, he was just that little open stance. And
Did you see,
hunched over.
look at the old highlights when he beat Palmer in '62. I thought, what's he doing? That was he really got down over that ball.
Oh, yes,
Honest to
yeah.
gosh.
I
He
want
was
to.
amazing.
I want to ask you something too. Did you happen? I know Jack very well,
Okay.
and in fact,
That's not a bad guy to know in golf.
and in fact, his father was on our board of directors of a company that we started up in Ohio. It wasn't a golf company, but it's what sent me to Florida. And Charlie was on our board of directors up there. And when I got down to Florida to help get our company down here, I called Charlie and asked him if Jack would serve on our board of directors, if he would call him and have him call me. He said, Charlie was a gruff old guy, and he says, "What do you mean call him? Put him on there. He's on the board of directors right now." But the thing that I noticed is that when they were passing out the awards and everything, and there was Dustin Johnson, and then there was another gentleman over there who looked to be about, I'd say 6 foot tall. And then there was Jack, and everybody's always said to me, "Oh, well, Jack's, no wonder he could hit the ball so far. He's like
So
6
big.
foot
Such a
tall."
big guy. It's a big guy.
Jack's about 5'8".
How about that? Who knew that?
That's right. But if you would have looked at Dustin Johnson and the other guy here, and then Jack's here in the thing. But I tell you what, he is not just a great golfer. He was a marvelous athlete. He was, if my memory serves me right, I believe he was an All-Ohio quarterback in football at Upper Arlington High School outside of Columbus.
Yeah.
He's a fabulous tennis player, and he's just a great athlete.
Now, there's some trivia you can take with you. I know we're out of time. I want to thank Joe Rudity for the great coverage on all of the Joe Reds. Great, best clubs you can swing, and you can swing them now if you come to Arbor Hills. I want to thank Joe for the time and just reminiscing about the Open and talking about the gaffes and things that transpired. It was great talking with Joe, great getting his input. We want to thank everybody for paying attention to us. We will be back next week with another session of Playing from the Tips. Thanks so much.
Bye now.
Good job.
Well,
Yes, that was excellent.
I just